this is a simple dish. It uses pasta. I like this orecchiette or orecchiette pasta. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but you could use penne, rotini, whatever you like. The sauce uses a mixture of cottage cheese and pesto, so it's got lots of good protein in it, and we've got some vegetables to chop up in it as well. It's really fast, simple, easy to make. For my vegetables, I'm just going to chop up my broccoli here into some small pieces. So we've got our broccoli chopped up here. Don't be afraid of some stems in there, that has lots of flavor. I'm going to take my cottage cheese. I've got 1% cottage cheese. I'm going to take half of this 500 gram container, so I guess 250 grams, and I'm just going to dump that right in my bowl here. Oops, I dumped a little bit too much. That's okay, I'll put a little bit back. So half of that container should be plenty. Okay, so we've got 250 grams of our cottage cheese. Now, I've got about a half a cup of pesto here. So just pour that in. Perfect. And a quarter cup of Parmesan cheese. I'll just sprinkle a little bit in there. I'm going to taste that a little bit later on once things have come together to see if that's too much or not enough, and I might add the rest of it. So up to a quarter cup of ground Parmesan cheese, some pepper, good. I pretty much have my sauce, believe it or not. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop my onion and fry that up in the pan with my meat. You can use ground pork for this, which is what I'm using today. I usually use ground chicken thighs, actually. It's less expensive than the chicken breast, and there's no reason not to use it. But they didn't have it in the grocery store today, so I'm going to use ground pork. So I'm just going to use half of a medium onion. We don't need the whole onion for this recipe. While the olive oil is coming to heat in the frying pan, I'm just going to chop up these peppers. The olive oil is up to heat now, so we can start cooking that up with our onion. Okay, as this cooks, just break it up a little bit. That prevents you from getting big chunks of meat in it. This recipe was actually created, I was thinking I'd like to make some stuffed pasta, but I didn't really have the time to do that. So I figured, well, what do you typically put in a cannelloni or something like that? Well, you can put a ground meat mixture with some cottage cheese or ricotta cheese and some pesto, and you can have a nice stuffed pasta. Well, if you don't have time for that, then make that as a sauce and put it on top of the pasta. It's the same kind of idea, same sort of flavors. My pasta water is boiling now, so I can just add my pasta. That won't cook for very long at all. This meat is now cooked, but I think mostly because this is pork rather than the ground chicken thighs that I often use, there's quite a bit of oil here. So I'm going to tilt my pan a little bit to drain off some of that oil. We don't want any extra grease. And I'm going to just take my cooked meat and I'm going to put it into my cottage cheese pesto mixture. Alright, I've spooned all of my pork into the cottage cheese pesto mixture there, and I can take this grease away. And I'll just stir up my sauce. The heat of the meat will melt the cottage cheese a little bit. I've just tasted the pasta. It's just about al dente. So I'm going to add now my broccoli. Why cook it separately when you can just add it to the pasta water? A lot faster, no problem. Stir that around a little bit. and wait for the broccoli to get a little bit deeper green before we drain the whole thing into the colander. Alright, let's assemble the pasta. So first of all, we're going to put red pepper and orange pepper in here. The main reason is we're going to put some hot pasta over top of it. So by doing that, it'll just cook the peppers a tiny bit. We'll put our cooked pasta and broccoli on top of that, and then we'll add the sauce. Now we just want to stir it up a little bit. Looking at this, I am going to add a bit more of that Parmesan cheese, closer to the full quarter cup, and I think I might actually add a little bit more pesto to that as well. Put another quarter cup to that. I love pesto, so I really don't think you can go wrong adding more. There you go, pesto pasta with broccoli and peppers. Really simple, and the whole thing was made in 15 minutes.